Hey, everybody, and welcome once again to Spill It. Spill It is a show where I get to speak to inspirational people and share some inspirational stories to connect people together, inspire others, and help people learn something new. And this week we have got a special episode because obviously it is time to have a little bit of tea with me. That's right. This is episode 88, Tea with Marcus, Sports, Equality, and Education. When you get in here, make sure that you like, you rate, you subscribe, you do all of those little things that I ask for every single time. So make sure that you've liked this post, whether that you are watching this over on Facebook Live, if you're watching this on YouTube, or if you are watching this over on LinkedIn. Make sure that you just quickly drop a like. Make sure that if you are listening to this on playback or onto your podcast, then make sure that you give a quick rate as well. And of course, don't forget to subscribe for more of my content over here at Spill It HQ. And of course, don't forget to get those comments and questions in live. If you comment whilst you are watching this stream, then you are part of the conversation too. And that means I can interact with your beautiful comments. That means, obviously, as I say, you are part of the stream, then you are part of this little episode. And because it is Tea with Marcus on a Friday evening, it also means as well that there's no guest. So if you want to be my guest, in the comments section, of course, and just quickly drop a comment, and obviously we can have a quick chat in the comments. Lastly, as well, make sure that you hit that share button. The reason I ask for that is simple, really, because there'll be people that whether it be through your connections or whether they are family or friends or whoever, they may not necessarily know what Spill It's all about, and they may actually find that either this episode or one of my other many episodes, the other 87 that we've done so far, it might be that they relate to one of those episodes and might want to actually engage with one of the things or any of the upcoming episodes as well, because we've got some really cool episodes upcoming in season 3 with lots of returning guests as well. One of those as well you're going to hear at the end of this episode. The guest that we've got, my special guest, obviously on Monday. So yeah, it is it's going to be really cool. I really can't wait, to be fair. I absolutely love her. But before we jump the gun and we start talking about next week, it is time. It's time for Hot Trick. That's right. It is What's Your Ick time. I love this segment just because I get to talk twice in a week about things that have just bothered me, where I'm just like, okay, compose. I was actually thinking about, nearly knocked my microphone off then. I was actually thinking about different icks as well. I was actually rattling my brain on the way home, and I was just thinking, let's have a think about an ick. Let's really think about something that's really bothered me like this week. And there's one thing that's really bothered me, but I'm not allowed to talk about it, unfortunately. Because it's this business related. So we're not going to talk about that particular ick. However, I do have an ick. So don't worry. Don't you worry your little selves. Right. This is obviously a very, very personal thing. Okay. So I apologize in advance, because this is a very, very personal thing. Now, sometimes the icks are just like really, really funny. And sometimes I like to be a little bit personal because it's something that's personally affected me. So my ick for my ick for today, I have got two, so I'm gonna treat you with two icks today. My ick for today, my serious one, as in like this is my personal one. When someone touches you, and I mean like, okay, so you know when you're like not like you've come home from work and you're just chilling and whatever, and then somebody touch you. Like so for me specifically, I hate my neck. That was like a I don't know what happened then. It was like a really weird noise in the microphone. Um, I really, really hate someone touching my neck. Hate it. Cannot stand it. And it makes me just ugh. Like, I don't care who you are. Like, just don't touch my neck. Don't touch me. Don't touch my skin. Who do you think you are? I don't know. I just, more recently, I just don't like people touching me at all. Like, I am all right to touch you. If I want to give you a hug, there we go. Yeah, we're in. Bring it in. Bring it in. However, don't touch me. Specifically, it's my neck. I hate my neck being touched. Okay. So this is obviously a very personal thing of mine. I just can't wait to touch your neck on Monday. Claire, I will push you into Manchester Markets, whichever stores nearby. First one. I'll just pick you up and throw you into it. I just honestly, I don't know what it is, but more recently, it's becoming more and more of a thing that I completely despise. So yeah, I'm not a fan at all. So please don't touch my neck. I don't know. My second ick, okay. My second ick. So I was basically looking, I was walking down the street. I was walking down the street and there was a car that was driving by. Really, really, really nice car. And I was like, oof, 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 look at that car. Ooh. Um, it was actually a really nice car. And then and then a carrier bag flew into the front of the car. As in, like, at the front, you know where the grill is? So the carrier bag just flew like into the car, and then the car just carried on driving. So the car went hit this carrier bag, and it just carried on driving. So you just saw this carrier bag like flapping at the front of the car, and I was just like, ick, cannot stand. I just couldn't. So it was more like I just saw this carrier bag, and I was just like, I don't care who you are. You're driving that car, and you got a carrier bag hanging out the front of it. Ick. I know, very specific things. And I hope it's not just me that's on that, but ick. No. The thing is you can't help that. It's not something that just that can be helped because obviously you don't know that there's a carrier bag that's just hit the front of your car, just flapping away in the wind. But yeah, for me personally, if you could be like a 10 out of 10, and if you're driving along and you've got a carrier bag that's just flapping in the wind, it's actually the front of your car, you're a one. As I say, two very, very personal icks there, but I thought I'd just share them in this space. There you go. So that was my ick for today.
Disgusting!
Just dropped a comment in there talking about that she's just done planks. So basically, this is something that I set up with Dance. Oh, no, so they're set up. I announced it at Dance X, which is the dance group that I teach, that I run. It's my business essentially, and it was Planksgiving. So for those people who don't know what Planksgiving is, basically on every single day throughout November, Well, there's obviously rest days as well, but through the days of November, you can do planks for a certain amount of seconds. It's just a way to help build up your fitness levels and just do something more active, especially with the winter months drawing in. So people not naturally during winter feel like because the cold and the weather's bad and the dark is earlier, it means that people end up doing less or wanting to do less or feel a little bit less motivated. So I just thought, well, if we do Thanksgiving, it's a way to keep people active at least through November as well. So congratulations, Linda, for doing it outside Plungington Centre. You've been doing it in some really funky places recently. So I'm really, really impressed with that. So keep up the good work. And then Claire says, can we do 3x brew slurpers? Of course. It's absolutely the worst thing ever. And I think so it's basically borderline loud eaters. And we talked about loud eaters as one of my icks a couple of weeks ago. And honestly, it is the worst thing in the world. If you are that noisy when either consuming or beverage or you are consuming food, you need to just get in the bin. You just go in the bin. Get your stuff, pack it all together, and get in the bin. Simple as that. Like, I am not having it. Like, learn to eat, learn to drink. You don't need to like that. Like, I'm not about that life. I'm definitely not about that life. So yeah, divulge anymore on that because we have got some stuff to talk about. Well, obviously Thursdays are Thursdays. That is not even a Thursday, it's a Friday. My days are all mixed into one. But yeah, so Fridays are it's my tea time essentially. So this is where we get to talk about an in-depth look on, or not an in-depth look, but basically my personal viewpoints on the episode that we've touched on Monday with our previous guest. So this is basically just a bonus episode for you this week, which is absolutely epic. But I just thought before we get into it, here's your little tea time jingle. Okay, so with tea, sorry about that. My phone's just beeping off, and that's so just so you know who that is, that's Woucher. Woucher are sending me some early Black Friday gadget deals, just as an FYI. I just thought I'd share that information out. This is really good gold content. There's content gold. Here are you just tuning in, listening to me rambling on about vouchers and miss some Black Friday deals. I think Black Friday is probably going to be an ick of mine. I think next week. I'm just saying. I hear a prediction going on. But yes. Anyway, so tea with me. So on Monday's episode we had Lawrence on the show, who was talking about sports and sports inclusion and talking about specifically trans rights within the sporting world. And I wanted to kind of open up the conversation a little bit more specifically around sports and the educational system behind it and how I feel that generation of children as they are growing up and either hating sports or feeling as though they can't be included in certain things. Now, I am only going to talk about my own personal experience growing up within this educational system, specifically, obviously, with the sporting stuff. Now, from what I believe, things haven't changed that much, but I have to be, I'm fully aware that I left school, oh dear, 20 years. Oh my God, 20 years ago I left school. That's really depressing. But yeah, I am fully aware that I left school 20 years ago. So I know that certain things can change. But I did want to just talk about my own experiences and talk about the experiences of what I know is happening still. When it way back 20, 21 years ago, 22 years ago, 23 years ago, 24 years ago, when I was back in high school, A long time ago in a galaxy far, far away, when I was when I was back in high school, the educational system had obviously physical education, PE, as it is commonly known. So we have physical education, PE, and you would rock up and you would be in a changing room full of your peers and you would get ready into whatever like PE uniform that you had. And then you would go out and you would essentially learn a little bit about sports, or you would be told to play a certain sport. So for me personally, it was football. There's a lot of football. For anybody that doesn't know me, and as a reminder for everybody that does know me, football and me just do not mix at all under any circumstances. Now, being the young, fabulous person that I was, told that you had to play football, and then the girls had to play things like rounders and netball and hockey. Um, and I think that was it actually. I think it was netball, hockey, rounders, um, and then the lads had to play football, rugby, and cricket. Now, I always loved rounders because I think it's just absolutely epic. And I used to want to always play the rounders, or I wanted to play something different during PE. And I was told that I was never allowed to. And even though there was actually quite a few lads who wanted to play things like rounders and not play football, or who didn't like that particular sport, it didn't matter and you were forced to do it. Now, obviously, that's gender stereotyping at its finest anyway, just because of the fact that if you're a boy, you have to play rugby, you have to play football, you have to play cricket. If you were a girl, you were playing these more feminine games, netball, hockey, etc. However, there was never any option to switch things around and to go, you know what, let's all get together and let's play rounders or whatnot, or let's get together and do whatever it was. That, for me personally, made me grow up to absolutely hate football and hate rugby and hate cricket. And it was interesting to have Lawrence now to obviously twice on the show where he has started up several LGBTQ plus friendly um, teams of touch rugby. Now, obviously, back in school, and so I remember playing rugby once. Absolutely loved it because I enjoyed running. That's what it was. I hated football because I didn't like to. Oh, I've now got to run, and I've also got to kick this ball, and I've also just got to keep tapping this ball as I'm moving forward. Like I just want, like for football, for me, I was just like, nah, get out. But for me, rugby, loved it because you could hold on to the ball and you just sprinted. And way back in school, I was like really, really fast at running, and I really enjoyed rugby for that reason because I could just get the ball and sprint and nobody could keep up. Now, nobody explained that back in like especially back in school, like I mean, and we talked about this on Monday as well, me and Lawrence, but nobody tells you the rules, nobody tells you the as in like the ins and outs essentially. There's no support there for anybody who wants to pursue it further or get any information or get any resources. There's absolutely nothing within the school system where somebody can go and this is what you can do if you're wanting to progress within this sport. Now, when it comes to things like football, let's use football for the example because that's the main one. So you could do football if you were a lad, but then as an extracurricular activity, so after school clubs, for example, they had like a girls' football team or they had a boys' football team. But you were essentially just you rocked up, you played the sport, and then that was it. And then you go home. There was no support system there or any resources where people could just go, you know what? If I wanted to pursue a career within the football world, and it doesn't necessarily mean that I want to be a footballer. It could be that I want to be a referee. I want to look to be a linesman. I want to look to be or work within like merchandising within the football world or whatever. But there was never any education or support for people like that. Same again for rugby and same again for other sports within the physical education sector. My issue with that is that we then have this. We then is when it comes to like the LGBTQ plus community and sports, we have this divide. There are those people who are really, really into the sports and they identify as LGBTQIA plus. But because they identify as LGBTQIA and plus, they are seen to not be allowed to play sports or feel included in sports, especially in school. That's a horrendous experience. And so, therefore, they grow up not knowing because they've been essentially forced out of these different groups and these different teams, if you will. Like, if they wanted ball, if they wanted to play rugby, if they wanted to play cricket, they wanted to play whatever sport they wanted to, they weren't necessarily allowed to because they were essentially forced out or told that they couldn't play it or felt as though they wasn't allowed to be part of that team or that there wasn't a team that was for them. So then you end up with a bunch of people who grow up and just hate the sports because they were essentially told that they're not allowed to. And I just feel as though more needs to be done when it comes to the educational system and the treatment of LGBTQIA people, specifically in physical education. I think that it's a very high school is a very hard place to get through anyway. And then double that or triple that or however multiplier you want to use, that for somebody who identifies as LGBTQIA plus. Obviously, things are a little bit more open now, or the conversations are at least being had. But from my experience, even nowadays, physical education doesn't take into consideration there are different needs and different support things, support networks that are needed for different people, and also different resources. And I understand that there is a need, there's a funding issue. So to obviously get all of this information or whatever, there's got to be funding, there's got to be money, there's got to be spent to get this information to be able to pass it on to whoever. But I just feel like there's got to be something more that we can do without letting these kids grow up and think that they can't be part of that world or they can't even pursue their goals. And this goes for absolutely anybody. This doesn't have to necessarily just stop at LGBTQIA. This could be for anybody, essentially. Like, why are we not allowing the next generation, for example, know about the things that are going on in the world in sports and things that are there? Like when you go to school and they talk about careers and they talk about what you're going to do at university and things like that, they never mention things like this. They never mention things like, oh, well, you could go and do this and you can go and pursue that. When you do sports or when you do PE, for example, in GCSE, it's more a case of, okay, and this is how you warm up and this is how you cool down. They don't talk about the career progression. And I think that that's the hardest thing. But even not just career progression, even just stuff like this is what you can do outside of school. These are the teams that you can go and see. These are the local people that you'll be able to go and get advice from if you wanted to pursue this from an for an extracurricular activity when they go to college, when they go to university, whatever. Like it's up to individuals to have to educate themselves, and I just think that that's what needs to change. We need to be able to do more for our future generation so they can grow up in a society and know that there are more options out there, even just for joining a club for the community feel. We all have, or we all should have, at least a community that you can feel a part of. I obviously with Dance X, which is my dance classes for adults, people go there and we've created a community of people who come along and they want to feel included, feel they are part of something bigger, and they rock up. And some of them come for exercise, some of them come for the social aspect, some of them come for both, and that's perfectly fine. But every single person is there, is wanted, is needed, and is respected. things like that aren't talked about in education. The communities that are out there, everybody needs that community feel. That's why we find these clubs that we can join and things like that. And I just feel like there's more that we can do to either educate our next generation that there are things like that outside, and that it's okay to join certain clubs, especially like let's go down dance route, for example. How like so for me, I was told, and this is not the dickheads at school, but I was told that dancing as a boy or performing as a boy um was gay. If you danced, then you were gay. If you did, and as I said, that wasn't just people at school either. People outside of school, people who were supposed to be family. Ugh, ick. But they, like, I remember going to college, and I really, really wanted to do performing arts. I knew that I could act. I knew I could dance. Can't sing for toffee, but I'd give it a good go. But I really wanted to perform, and I really wanted to do performing arts. I wanted to be a performing arts instructor or a dance instructor. Hey, there we go. Um, I remember going home, and I remember my mum saying that you're not going to get anywhere with that. So what's the point? And boys don't do performing arts. And do you want people to talk about you and things like that? And she tried to talk me out of it, and I was just like, you know what? No, this is what I want to do. But there needs to be, going back to the educational side of it, there needs to be more where people can feel like they can do things like that. Even down to things like being in school and having like dance groups and stuff like that outside of school or after school or something like that. I don't know. I'd like to know what your thoughts are. Feel free to drop a comment and just think, am I just babbling? Am I just rambling here? I don't know. I would like to know what your thoughts are if you are watching this or if you are listening to this. Feel free to drop me an email, marcus@spillit.uk. Um, I just think that there needs to be more within education. We can't just be teaching people so if you think about the subjects that you learnt at school and the subjects that you were part of, so things like sciences, your chemistry, biology, physics, and then you think about maths and you think about English, and there was two parts of English. There was English literature and the English language. With PE, it was just PE. There was no, this is how we do this. This is what where we can go with this. This is like there was none of that. It was very like, right, just go out and just go and do this for a bit. And I think it comes across as more PE's a DOS, and also from the teacher's perspective, like that's what it looks like from the outside looking in. That it's just a DOS, and the teachers just want to kind of get through it and just go, we'll just do this now. I'll just go and play football now. I'll just go and play this now, rather than where's the education behind it, rather than just throwing a bunch of kids outside to go and play football, rugby, etc. I just I hope that one day there is more education behind it. I hope that one day, when it comes to things like dance, and you've got lads who want to be part of a dance group in school or outside of school, can be told that actually look at all of these famous males who dance. Tom Holland, for example. Tom Holland went to a ballet school. He did ballet. His first role was Billy Elliot on the West End. He is an absolutely phenomenal dancer. He's straight. Obviously, I'm an amazing dancer, but I'm not straight. So, but there are many lads out. But even just like, it doesn't matter. Does it matter if you're gay or straight or bi or however you want to identify? It doesn't matter. Lads need to be told that They can dance. Girls need to be told that they can play football. They can play rugby. We had, as I say, we had on Lawrence on Monday who was saying that the women, there's a women's rugby team that he's been like helping out with and all of that. Like girls don't get told any of this. Lads don't get told any of that. Lads don't get told that they can be part of a male dance group or whatever. They get told that you can't really do that. Girls don't get told that there's women's rugby. Where's the girls? Options within school to be able to form a girls rugby team or be able to find like-minded people to be able to set something up like that. There is nothing out there at all, and it really does infuriate me. It infuriates me knowing the fact that there is an education system out there that's supposed to be educating people. It's physical education. It's stuff to do with sporting stuff and all of that lot. And in that sporting world, in that physical education world, there is a huge amount of equality issues. There is a huge amount of inclusion issues. As I say, girls don't get told that they can play rugby, and there are absolutely famous rugby players out there who are women, who are strong women, who have fought their way in the world. Women don't get told, or girls don't get told in school that they can have a girls football team and they could actually do well. We've just seen the Women's World Cup, and the women and England won. England's women won. We've seen that. There's a lot of equality issues within the sporting world, especially from an educational standpoint. And I just feel like we have to do more. And I'm hoping, and I do say this, and I know that Gen Z get a lot of shit thrown at them. That, I mean, let's be honest. Like when I scroll on TikTok and I see a Gen Z person go, like, I just say you need to get in the sea. But there are Gen Z have done a lot of work and a lot of fighting for equality and equality and inclusion and diversity. They have done a lot of work. So I'm hoping that they continue building this future where there is equality across the board. I hope that there is a future where the options for PE, for example, you can tick the box and say, these are the sports that I'm wanting to do, and that's what you learn. And I'm hoping that there is a future where they can go and speak to someone in school, and that person, teacher, advisor, coach, or whatever, can provide them with community projects that are out there that will help them form or be part of a girls' rugby team or a boys' dance troupe or a girls' cricket club or a boys' roller hockey group or whatever. Like there's so much in the world. There's so many opportunities out there. There's so many things that people can do, and they're just not told about it. And you're in school to learn. It's an educational setting. Why are they not being educated? That's what's on my mind from Monday's thing. I just feel like that there could be something more. That's all. And I'm sure one day there will be. And if it's not Gen Z that does it, it'll be the generation after. And we'll just keep going until one day there'll be equality. And whether I be dead and gone or whether I be 80 years old and I look back and I just think, oh, do you know what? Back in my day, we didn't have this. But now look at you youngsters all having that equality. Maybe one day that'll happen, eh? Maybe. Who knows? As I say, I might be long and gone by then. But I hope that one day I see it. I hope that one day I can look and I just think, nailed it. Well done, guys. And that was my tea for today. Well, that was a whole lot of ramble, wasn't it, about sporting and inclusion? I think it is a conversation, though, that just needs to happen. And I welcome you guys to open up that conversation even more as we could bring Spill It to a close by the end of the year, feel free to reach out to my inbox or to my social medias or whatever, and let's continue the conversation. I'm more than happy to do so. However, we do have a new subject to talk about on Monday, because next week on Spill It, we have lovely returning guest, fabulous, amazing Alexandra. Alexandra came on the show early back in season 1 and came on to talk about being an endo warrior and what did endometriosis mean for women, and why it's becoming more and more apparent that actually this is something that needs to be talked about. Well, she's coming back to talk about all of the work that she has done being that endo warrior, raising awareness for people who suffer with endometriosis. She's back on Monday. It's going to be absolutely epic. I cannot wait, because she's such a fabulous person as well. So yeah, really can't wait for that. Make sure that you tune in for that, ladies, especially ladies, because obviously this affects you, or it might affect somebody that you know. If you know somebody who has been affected by endometriosis, then make sure that you get them watching again. Because Alexandra runs Facebook groups, she runs live, she runs coaching sessions, she runs absolutely loads of online content and group sessions and things like that for people who suffer with endometriosis as well. So make sure that you do pass on the message, make sure that you tag a friend, make sure that you speak about it, because it will be a really good episode. It was an amazing episode last time. I learned so much from it, and I can't wait to get it all out again with her on Monday. But for now, here's your wrap up of the day. So if you're wanting to follow me on all of my social medias, then you can do. Make sure that you drop me a like. Make sure that you head over to my profiles and just give me a quick follow, or whatever you want to do. It's up to you. It's at @Marcus W on everywhere that there is an @ symbol. So make sure that you go and drop me a follow anywhere. Maybe on Insta. Help me build my followers over on there. Or TikTok, it's up to you. It's up to you. Just give me a follow. Why don't you? And obviously, as I say, if you are wanting to have another conversation about this over on my inboxes, then obviously you can drop me an inbox over on my social medias, or you can drop me an email directly, marcus@spillit.uk. You'll be able to just drop me an email on there. We'll be able to have a further conversation on everything that we've been discussing tonight, or on any of the other episodes that we've discussed so far. Thank you so much for watching, for joining in, for being part of this stream and this episode of this evening. It has been an absolute pleasure. And thank you for allowing me to ramble on about sports. It's not something that I do very often. But thank you so much. And until we spill it again, it's bye for now. Thank you for watching this week's episode of Spill It. You can catch Spill It live every week over on Facebook, YouTube, and now LinkedIn. You can also catch up with Spill It on the move on your preferred podcast streaming service. And don't forget to follow me on all my socials at @Marcus W. And for anything Spill It related, you can always get in touch with me by dropping me an email, marcus@spillit.uk.